Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Jay. I hope you're doing well. And I want to send some more inspiration your way with the September Crafty Crew kit. So I have a bunch of pieces cut, and I thought we would really highlight the paper today. And the only real stamping I did was to stamp out the sentiment from Groovy Meadow that says, just smashing, baby. So, and that's going to be, and then I did cut out a shadow layer. I just did this with a die in my stash. But I thought we could play around with some of our paper, and I'm probably going to layer it like that. I think that looks very nice. So, I cut out two matte layers, and what I'm thinking we're going to do, this is a Kendra's Card Challenge sketch from the vault, if you will. We're going to have these two panels, and then each of these will have like this. And there will be pattern paper on each of these. Then we'll use this to decide where we want it and just do something like that. And just do a nice classic card. Because I love these kind of cards because they just come together in a few minutes. And what I think I want is I want a really vibrant print for the smaller panel. We could do something like this. Basically, I want a subtle print and a less subtle print. And we could use the rainbows if we so chose. We have a bunch of peace signs. We could do, I think there's a yellow peace sign. We could do yellow peace signs. Not sure if I like the pink and the yellow particularly. I do like this one a lot. Now, if we cut this correctly, we could have sort of groovy in the middle. I guess that doesn't really matter. Let's do that with peace. I like that. Then we just need to decide. I kind of like these two together. They're both rainbow in theme, but the one on the left is a lot more subtle. So I think this is going to work. And I think the peace sign and groovy goes together as an idea. So basically, what I want is a piece that is 2 1/4 by 5. So all I really need to do is cut this to 2 1/4. If you want, you can cut. Actually, that looks about perfect. It's nice how these peace signs lined up there. Um, we could trim off a little bit of this white if we want. I think I will do that because I just want not a tremendous amount, but I don't really want a ton of extra white. I want this to feel more edge to edge, basically. So I will just cut this to, I said 5. Yeah, so we have 2 1/4 by 5. That is our panel for there. And then this one is just going to be, yeah, this is just going to be 2 1/4 by 3. So I'm going to cut this, and I think that'll allow us to sort of grab a couple of these loves. There we go. So we have our love. I think it's going to look basically like this. I like the peace signs of different sizes in both. I think that's going to look nice. And we're going to have some extra white. So let's get all that together. I also cut a white piece for the inside because this is sort of 67-pound weight cardstock, and I want to reinforce the inside a bit. So we can do that first. This is just standard A2 like matte, so this is just 5 1/4 by 4. I think this piece I will put on with I'm gonna put this on with dry adhesive. I typically like the wet adhesive for making sure all my panels are lined up correctly because it gives you a little bit more fudge room. If there's any extra, I just rub it off with my fingers, although you can do other things. I think it'll be nice to bring a little color on the inside, so I'm going to put this extra scrap from another project on the bottom. You may have seen that other project on my channel already, depending on when you're watching this. but I think this will be a lot of fun. I'm going to arrange this with sort of the, I guess I'll say like the wider part of the rainbow on the bottom. I think it will line up a little nicer like that. I'm going to leave it blank. You could put an inside sentiment. The actual sentiment of this card is pretty wide open in terms of what it means. We could also do the flip side on this is neat too. Do we like this? I like the peace sign because it adds a little more white in what is otherwise kind of a busy print. So I think we'll stick with our original version. But depending on if you're a more of a more is more kind of person or a less is more kind of person, you can certainly get a lot of mileage out of this pattern paper. And I particularly like it because it's just not specifically, oh, that's going to look pretty together. Um, it's not specifically a particular season. So I think this is going to be a really good all year kind of paper, especially if you have groovy friends. But a lot of craft friends are groovy, so I think it will be a lot of fun. And I will do the same thing here. And depending on your preferences, if you want to, you can kind of shim the edge of this panel. Because what we're going to do is overlap these a little bit. And there is a height difference here. So if that's the kind of thing that might bug you, let me just show you how to do that. I rarely do it myself, honestly. But what I want to find is something that's about the right size. This is a good option. And then what we can do is just cut this down a little bit. In fact, we can just cut this in half if we want. And this kind of shimming doesn't really have to look nice because no one's ever going to see it other than us taking the card right now. But what I would probably do is line these up and then, whoops, line these up like that. And then I would put glue here and here. So I can just show you how that would work. The only other thing to do is to make sure you know which side is which, because I have done this on the wrong side. And you want to make sure that you're not overlapping your piece. This one's a little close. We'll just check it. It looks fine here. But if this piece were overhanging, it would look a little bit weird. So I'm going to just do the same thing here. The side I really want to support is this far side, so that's why I concentrated there. And then when we put this back together, you can see that because this is supported, it doesn't really sag at all. So I'm just going to put glue on the shim piece and then on this far edge, and then I think this is going to look really cool. I'm liking how this is coming together. So just like that on the shim and on the other end. And then we do have some fudge time. But what I want to do is essentially line up the white space, although you can futz with that if you would like. And then this paper is pretty easy to line up because it has this, straight line of the peace signs. But you could also use a ruler if you were more concerned about that. Now I'm going to just get our sentiment and its drop shadow. I'm basically using the same color scheme because I really like this cream. I like this cream and the pink together. We could decide where we want this. We could put it all the way to the edge if we want. I think insetting it a little bit makes sense, but I think that will work. You could also go more centrally. You could put it down lower if you wanted. We could just sort of, I kind of like that actually. The original design had it kind of like this, so I think that looks more balanced. So I guess we'll do that. But we can always play around with this. I should say the original sketch. And then we will just make sure this is aligned. And look at that. We have a card done in not much time. If you would like, certainly you could bling this up. You could also ink edge the pieces if you wanted to add more variety of color. But this is what it looks like. And then when you open it up, you've got your fun little inside piece and you have plenty of room to write. So it is a really fun card, inspired by Kendra Morgan with a lot of our cool groovy paper. So if you enjoyed it, if you have any thoughts or questions or anything else, feel free to leave a note down below. There are also links down below to pick up the kit. The kit is on sale until the 15th of August and then ships in early September. So the September Crafty Crew kit, it was pre-order is in August. So anyway, or you can subscribe and you get extra fun stuff in your box, and then you don't have to worry about what the dates are. But thanks for checking this out. If you have any questions, just let me know. Have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.